This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
UN envoys striving to prevent escalation of Libyan crisis. Rwanda continues to question France's role in country's genocide. Ethiopian government looks to end ethnic violence and promote peace. Hello and welcome to CGTN. This is Africa Live and I'm Karen Roberts in Nairobi. Also coming up in the programme. South African artists share a universal canvas to raise funds for needy children. And Tunisia's Espérance to take on Algeria's CS Constantine in the CAF Champions League quarter-finals. The United Nations is determined to hold Libya's national conference on time to avoid a further escalation of fighting. The UN aims to stage a conference in the southwestern town of Gadams on April the 14th to 16th. The world body wants to find an agreement on a roadmap for elections to resolve the prolonged instability in the country. This comes as the Libyan National Army, under the command of Khalifa Haftar, advanced into the outskirts of Tripoli and have taken over the former international airport. Now, forces loyal to the internationally recognized government in Tripoli have conducted airstrikes to try to halt Haftar's troops.
I am well aware that holding a national conference in this difficult time of escalation and fighting is a difficult matter, but we are determined to hold it on time unless compelling circumstances force us not to. You are aware that there are areas with tension surrounding Greater Tripoli, and we are constantly monitoring the situation minute by minute. We know that there is a strong need to stop the escalation in these areas, and we have a constant interest. That will never change across Libya and the world, and it is protecting the civilians from these clashes. Therefore, we prohibit fighting in any civilian areas.
Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has refused to hold any Libyan group accountable for the recent military escalation around the capital, Tripoli. Lavrov is currently in Egypt. He met with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and his Egyptian counterpart, Sameh Shoukry. They discussed regional conflicts and the resumption of Russian flights to resort cities on the shores of the Red Sea. Adel El-Marouki reports.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is visiting Cairo to discuss the developments in regional conflicts. The latest move from Khalifa Haftar to take over the Libyan capital Tripoli headed his talks with the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi.
We've discussed Libyan National Army and its clashes with other militias. We refuse to accuse any party in this crisis. There are no justifications for one side and the other. This is not acceptable. We call all parties to start negotiations without preconditions. Some sides say they are going to use force against the Libyan National Army. We want to put an end to these confrontations.
All parties must resort to calm and refrain from resorting to military operation whose implications could affect Libyan citizens. They must work with the UN's envoy for a Libyan consensus.
Lavrov and his Egyptian counterpart Sameh Shoukry have insisted on a two-state solution for the Palestinian crisis based on the 2002 Arab Initiative. They've also discussed developments in Yemen and Syria. Egypt has hoped that the Russian foreign minister will bring some good news regarding the resumption of flight to the Egyptian Red Sea. However, Lavrov insisted that a time for lifting its partial travel ban cannot be specified.
I do not accept any implication that this issue is being politicized, as if we are forcing a siege on Egypt. We are concerned with the safety of Russian citizens.
There's been unprecedented cooperation to welcome the Russian security delegation to inspect and suggest improvements for our security measures. We are working intensively with the Russian government on the technical issues to overcome this ban. We've taken all concerns seriously.
Cairo and Moscow are finalizing preparations for the African Union-Russian summit. Presidents of both countries are scheduled to chair the event this October. Adil Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
The Tunisian president has extended the state of emergency following reports that Tunisia is still facing terror threats. The country's National Security Council also warned against the escalation of the armed conflict in Libya and its impact on security in the whole region.
Tunisia's National Security Council has extended the state of emergency for one additional month on the whole territory. As of Saturday, April 6th, the state of emergency had been decreed since November 24, 2015, following a terrorist attack on a presidential guard bus.
The security situation has improved since 2015. ISIL terrorists or cells have been neutralized in Tunisia. However, the threat persists because we live in an unstable region. The state of emergency gives the government all legal means to fight terrorism.
The National Institute for Strategic Studies warned against the presence of ISIL militants, who have been described as lone wolves.
Lone wolves are a threat to national security. Some of the terror plots foiled by the intelligence services or terror attacks perpetrated on Tunisian soil were planned by lone wolves. The state of emergency has allowed authorities to arrest or neutralize some of these extremely violent individuals.
During the national security meeting at Carthage Palace, Tunisian President Beji Qaid al-Sibsi warned against the escalation of the armed conflict in Libya and its impact on the security situation in Tunisia. Despite the UN Security Council's call on the forces of Libyan Army Commander Khalifa Haftar to halt all military movements, hundreds of armored vehicles and troops continue their advance towards Tripoli.
As long as the situation is unstable in Libya, it will affect the security in Tunisia. Last week, the Arab League announced the holding of a meeting between all Libyan stakeholders in Libya in less than 15 days to pave the way for a reconciliation summit in July. It is clear that some strong actors on the ground reject the UN plan.
According to the Tunisian Interior Ministry, thousands of Libyan citizens have crossed the border between the two North African neighbors. Hundreds of National Guards have been deployed to guarantee security on the Tunisian side of the border region. Adnan Shawashi, CGTN, Tunis.
To Rwanda now, where questions surrounding the role of France in the 1994 genocide in Rwanda continues to be raised. 25 years on, 100 days of massacres left at least 800,000 people dead. That's according to the United Nations.
The French involvement in Rwanda during the 1990s has been a source of tension between the two countries.
As for the French, their role in what happened in Rwanda is self-evident. They knowingly trained and armed government soldiers and militia who were going to commit genocide, and they knew they were to commit a genocide.
In 1994, France sent soldiers to Rwanda for a rescue mission dubbed Turquoise Operation, following orders from the United Nations.
The French support was above all military. Military operations were sent to support Rwandan armed forces during this period against attacks from the Rwanda Patriotic Front. The Norway operation started in October 1990, which little by little turned into technical military help for the head of Rwandan armed forces.
While Paris acknowledges mistakes in its dealings with Rwanda, it however dismisses accusations on training militia to take part in the massacre.
What happened here has left an indelible mark, completely indelible. What happened here is unacceptable. What happened here requires the international community, including France, to reflect on its mistakes.
Members of Ibuka France, an association that supports survivors of the genocide, have welcomed the creation of a commission to shed light on France's role before and during the massacres.
The problem is that we have documents, witness statements from soldiers who say that they were going to wage war, whereas for a long time we say that Operation Turquoise was launched in June 1994 to bring in aid to the population that was under threat.
The 9-member commission will have access to presidential, diplomatic, military and intelligence archives in efforts to probe France's dealings on the genocide.
We need to make sure that we don't idealize the archives as if in the archives we are going to find confidential secrets from the last 25 years. As we show here, there are a lot of things that we already know that are public and are not up for debate.
As the world commemorates the 25th anniversary of the killings in Rwanda, survivors strive to find clarity to move on. Michael Karanja, CGTN.
Well, it's been 25 years since over 1 million people were killed in the Rwanda genocide, and as survivors and perpetrators seek reconciliation, one man found peace through marrying the daughter of the man who killed his family. Wilkista Nebois has that story.
They don't need words to communicate. One shared look speaks volumes. This is a relationship built on forgiveness and reconciliation, an unlikely love story in the face of great tragedy. It has been 25 years since over 1 million Tutsis were killed in the Rwandan genocide, and it has been 11 years since John Giraneza and Marie-Jeanne Uwimana got married. Giraneza's family were killed by Marie-Jeanne's father during the genocide. The two were neighbors, living side by side until the genocide began.
My father had 10 wives and 37 children. All 10 wives and 27 children died. I survived, but I'm crippled.
Marie-Jeanne's father fled, never to be seen again. For years after the killings, Giraneza harbored anger and bitterness over his loss. Then he met Marie-Jeanne again and fell in love with her. He wanted to marry her.
I prayed for a wife to come and help me because I was crippled. But the woman I found was the one whose father had killed my family. I approached her, but didn't know whether she would accept me.
She did. But relatives on both sides were against the union, so they eloped.
When we got married, everyone was angry at us. Both our families wouldn't speak to us, but they'd come to check if I was alive. They wanted to see if I was fine.
It wasn't until Giraneza paid a debt owed by Marie-Jeanne's mother that the ice broke and the two families finally came together, reconciled by the couple's love for each other. Today they visit each other freely and their children play together. Theirs is one of thousands of stories of forgiveness and reconciliation in Rwanda. Through the Gacaca courts, perpetrators have been punished. Many have returned to face their victims. And survivors of the genocide have formed bonds from a shared past, working to help each other move forward. But what happened here is never forgotten, and in the capital, a memorial stands to remind visitors of the dark past.
But it's a global issue that needs humanity to be aware of the causes, to be aware of what could trigger a genocide or mass atrocities. And that's the reason why I believe that the center will always have the focus on giving dignity to the victims, but also educating the world.
Every year on the 7th of April, Rwanda remembers its past and the forgiveness that has enabled many here to start life afresh. Some, like the Giranezas, find that forgiveness has given them a second chance at life and love. Wilkista Nebois, CGTN in Kigali, Rwanda.
We're going to a short break now. Lots more to come, including South African artists share a universal canvas to raise funds for needy children. And Egypt holds nationwide celebrations to help orphans.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
Let's cross over to South Africa, where artists from all walks of life have recently shared a universal canvas to raise money for education in Johannesburg. Night of 1,000 Drawings started 14 years ago and has since grown into South Africa's biggest one-night-only art exhibition, raising funds for children in need. Here's CGTN's Julie Shear with the details.
It's South Africa's biggest one-night-only inner-city art exhibition. And it all started when a soup kitchen truck was stolen.
I was working for an organization called Pabalo Yabato, which essentially gives food to homeless people in the inner city. And their bakkie that they used to take the soup got stolen. So we didn't know what to do, and we were close in shutting down the organization. And we came up with the idea of a fundraiser. And that's how the idea of Night of 1,000 Drawings came about.
Artist or not, anybody can donate to the initiative. This year, art contributions came from as far as Japan, Australia and Germany.
We have 3 charities that we're donating everything to. The first charity is one called ELE, which is Everybody Love Everybody. And in a nutshell, we're actually looking after a child's education for a year. The other is a foundation called Lala Nje. They have a community centre at the base of Hillbrow Towers for a whole bunch of kids. And then the third is the original foundation, which is Pabalo Yabato.
From doodles, graffiti, sketches and oil paintings, art lovers were spoilt for choice. And at $10 a piece, contributing towards education felt like the right thing to do.
I love art. It's good because it makes art accessible to everyone, and just to know that whatever paintings I buy here, the funds are going towards a good cause.
We're always looking for good news stories in South Africa, and this is one of them because art really just connects us at the heart, and giving back to the communities, it warms me.
Creativity can be giving back. You don't always have to give your time as in where you being there. You don't have to give your money, you don't have to give your things. Even just doodling on a piece of paper is enough for us to raise money to give back to those in need.
All these drawings behind me are much more than just art. They are part of an empowerment project that changes lives and gives inner city children hope for a better future. Julie Shear, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Wonderful story. And here's another one about children. Egypt was the first nation to officially set an annual day for orphans. On the first Friday of April, the country holds nationwide celebrations. Parks welcome orphans for free, and the public are invited to help any way that they can. Here's Adel El Mahrouki with more.
There are around 5 million orphans in Egypt. Most of them live in challenging environments. To spread public awareness about their needs, Egypt created this Orphans Day.
This is the 16th celebration for Orphans Day. Our park has been part of the foundation of that day. We started with 5,000 children. Today, we host 12,000 kids in addition to the wedding ceremonies.
On that day, all parks opened their doors to welcome orphans for free. Scores of Egyptians joined the celebrations, which usually sees significant engagement from celebrities.
The Ministry of Social Solidarity has been monitoring the celebrations that took part in almost all of Cairo's parks. Egyptians have this excellent habit to make this day special for their orphan brothers. They increase their moral and materialistic support on that day.
This year, a joint wedding ceremony was held for 90 orphan girls. Donations have funded all necessities the girls need for marriage, from supplies to this massive ceremony.
People do not know me, but they are so happy for me. They made me feel that they know me. I'm happy on my wedding day. Orphans Day is a very beautiful day.
In 2004, Egypt has become the first country in the world to officially dedicate an annual day for orphans.
Egypt has founded that day to create public move to support orphans. It is a day to tell those who have been deprived from paternal love that the entire country loves them. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
We've got all the sport for you coming up after the break, including Tunisia's Espérance to take on Algeria's CS Constantine in the CAF Champions League quarter-finals.
Africa, where champions are made, records are broken, legends are born. We're there for every goal, for every knockout, for every step of the way. Match Point, only on CGTN.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
South Africa's Mamelodi Sundowns have heavily dented former CAF Champions League champions Al Ahly's chances of making the semi-finals of the competition. Sundowns defeated Al Ahly 5-0 in the league quarter-final first leg match at the Lucas Moripe Stadium in Tshwane on Saturday afternoon. In another match, quarter-final first leg match, Tanzanian giant Simba Sports Club were held to a barren draw by DRC's TP Mazembe in Dar es Salaam. Meanwhile, Tunisia's Espérance, Sportif de Tunis and Algeria's CS Constantine will play in another quarter-finals match in a short while from now.
Espérance Sportif de Tunis will be away to Algeria against CS Constantine in African Champions League quarter-final. The Blood and Gold team are satisfied with their preparations for the match.
Playing and defeating CS Constantine on Algerian soil will be difficult. We need a positive result to facilitate the return match in Tunis. We have no choice but to show a good performance.
The Blood and Gold supporters will accompany their team to Algeria after the lifting of CAF sanctions. Supporters were banned after the incidents that occurred at the Hamlaoui Stadium during the group stage meeting between Constantine and Club Africain.
We are going to play football in Algeria. There is no room for violence in the stadium. We are happy for the support of thousands of Espérance fans. We are determined to win on Saturday.
Sport analysts believe that OST players might be exhausted physically after winning the Tunisian Super Cup last week and losing the African Super Cup to Raja of Casablanca in Doha, Qatar.
The physical condition of players could be affected after so many long trips in recent weeks and several games in the domestic league. However, Espérance will have to prove that it deserves a new African title.
Espérance de Tunis will miss the services of three defenders, Khalil Shammam, Samah Derbeli and Yaqoubi, for this match that analysts believe will be a difficult one for the three-time winners of CAF Champions League. Aden Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis, Tunisia.
To English football news now. Egyptian Mohamed Salah ended his 8-game scoring drought by netting in Liverpool's 3-1 win over Southampton on Friday. The hosts took the lead at the St Mary's Stadium in the 10th minute when Shane Long finished from close range. Liverpool were back on level terms after Alexander-Arnold's cross was headed in by Guinea's Naby Keita, his first goal in a Liverpool shirt. Jurgen Klopp's side took the lead in the 80th minute after Salah went on a long dribble before scoring from 18 yards out. The result was put beyond reach when Jordan Henderson scored in the 86th minute to make it 3-1, putting Liverpool back at the helm of the Premier League table.
We come here and we know Southampton is really a different side since Rive is in. So and we know everybody expects, and we need 3 points, and we knew how difficult that is. And you saw it. The setup was 5-4-1. You can sell it as 3-4-3, but it's a 5-4-1, and that means you play against 9. And our problem was that we didn't push up high enough in the last line.
In other matches played on Saturday, Leicester City emerged 4-1 winners against already relegated Huddersfield Town. Newcastle remained in the relegation zone after losing 1-0 to Crystal Palace, while Burnley hit 3 past Bournemouth. In Spain, Barcelona will host fellow title contenders Atletico Madrid at the Nou Camp on Saturday night in a crucial La Liga match. The Catalans lead the La Liga standings 8 points clear of Diego Simeone's side with just 8 matches remaining. The fixture is a must-win for Atletico if they want to keep their title hopes alive. They haven't won in 18 consecutive visits at the Nou Camp. The match is key for Barcelona ahead of their Champions League tie with Manchester United, and manager Ernesto Valverde maintains the fixture is of importance and will be treated as such.
The game is very important and we are aware of it, even knowing we have another key game afterwards. We have 4 days in between. The best way to prepare for the next game is playing well.
To motorsports news now from Morocco, where reigning Dakar Rally champion Nasser Al Attiyah added a maiden Merzouga Rally title to his collection on Friday. Qatari Al Attiyah and his French co-driver Mathieu Baumel were victorious on 5 of the 6 days of competition to finish 1 hour, 36 minutes and 29 seconds ahead of Zimbabwe's Conrad Rautenbach. Victory in the motorbikes category went to Adrien van Beveren, who won the day's stage. Frenchman Beveren rode his Yamaha to victory on stages 1, 3 and 5 and finished 24 minutes and 37 seconds clear of South African Ross Branch atop the overall standings. Well, that's it for this edition of Africa Live. Remember, you can send your feedback to the contacts on the screen and follow us on digital media platforms. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Bye for now.